Hello and welcome to the Temple of Tomes with your host, Indie Comics Jones. Today is February 23rd, 2021, and this is episode 213. Today we're going to take a look at The Union. This is a Marvel comic, the third issue on this, and this is for Queen and Country. It comes in at $3.99, and on the cover here we see one of the Union. Her name is Kelpie, and she is coming through what appears to be the amusement park in the last issue. So I don't know if they saved that, but they brought it forward for this issue's cover. She is a water demon. She can kind of control the water and I believe some of the animals within the water as well. So kind of like Aquaman a little bit. Kelpie is also, I believe, Celtic, as the Union are made up of different heroes of the United Kingdom, each from their different region. So let's get into this a little bit here. The writer on this is Paul Grist. The penciler is Andrea DeVito. The inker is LeBeau Underwood, and the colorist is Nolan Woodard. The cover artists were R.B. Silva and David Curiel. Now let's take a look at who's in the Union. Now, if you recall, the first two issues took place in the King in Black event. And I thought it was going to continue because it kind of ended, but it kind of didn't in the last issue. But I'm assuming that they probably beat the King in Black, were able to defeat him and get him out of England per se. So let's take a look who's in it. It's a Union Jack. His last name is Chapman. I don't know if it's Ben Chapman is his full name. It's something like that. But he is third generation. He's kind of like a mixture between Batman with the humor of Deadpool a little bit. We have Snakes, who has the strength of 10 people. And we learn out a little bit about him in this issue, a little bit more that we knew before. But he doesn't talk loud. He telepathically talks to everybody, and they can hear him. Kelpie, who we discussed already, is a water demon. We have the Choir, who's kind of like Black Canary. She has the power to emit a sound that disables everybody, kind of knocks them out or knocks things over. And we had Britannia, who was the original leader of the Union, but she died in the first issue by the symbiotes that were released by the King of, by Null, basically. And so Union Jack is supposed to be the new leader of this group. However, these three don't really care for him too much, and at the end of last issue, they left him. So this is the Britannia project. They're still trying to get a group together. This is part 3. There shall come a bulldog. And what we have here, we've got this side story, North Wales, and there's a guy that's robbing a shop. He wants the money for drugs. Suddenly this scarf goes whipping around and gets taken down, and it turns out it's the Choir. She's been in hiding, and you can see, we see more of her than we have in the past. This issue actually introduces 3 new people, but it also gives you a little more background about a couple of the other characters in the Union. So you can see that she's got some kind of metallic exoskeleton type thing going on right under her skin, and her face is cracked, so she might be like part machine. So she saves the day. She goes off, only to find out that Doc Croc is waiting for her in her trailer. She's been on the run for about 10 months now, hiding out and just staying low, but she has been found, and he threatens her. Meanwhile, back in Manchester, above a metro station, we've got our champion. Oh, Joe Chapman is his name. There you go. And he gets a phone call from Selwyn, and we learn out a little bit more about Selwyn as well. It says, okay, there's, you lost some people in the Union. We're going to give you another guy. And he goes, there's somebody's knocking on the door. He says, whatever you do, don't answer the door. And ta-da, aliens there. No. Nice ad there. The Bulldog is what he's called. He comes crashing through, knocking Joe Chapman around, and they start fighting. It turns out the Bulldog is actually one of the part of the Union project. He's too hard to control, so he didn't make the first squad originally. So Selwyn's talking to him while he's getting beat up. In the meantime, back in North Wales, we've got the choir trying to escape Doc Croc, and she runs to a phone book. She calls somebody, and she gets out of the phone book just in time as it's blown up. So she's still on the run. Now we've got Selwyn and Joe Chapman, the Union Jack, actually, and also the Bulldog in the back seat, and kind of gives the trope like, yeah, we met, we're superheroes, so we always have to fight first, and then, but then we become friends, and he's just kind of a loose cannon, basically. So they go on out to the trailer that the choir was staying in, and we saw Doc Croc was surprised her in, basically, and it's burnt to the ground. And they introduce a new detective here, and she's trying to tell everybody just to move along, nothing's going on here. And Joe Chapman's unexpectedly sees that Kelpie and snakes are there as well. He wasn't not expecting to see them ever again, and they said, well, they're after our buddy the choir, and we're sticking around. We don't care about you so much, but we do care about the choir. And so suddenly this little puppy comes up, and they're discussing it. The Bulldog picks it up, and he says, this is no dog. I'd know a dog because I'm the Bulldog. And it shapeshifts into a butterfly, and Joe Chapman catches it in his fists, and he's asking it questions. And so before he could tell you what happens, we get a huge 2-page ad for Heroes Reborn. This is coming out in May 2021. I will discuss this either tomorrow or the next day. I do have the latest copy of Marvel Previews, and I'm sure there'll be a little story about this to explain exactly what Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness are working on. So, going back here, he's got the butterfly in his hand. Suddenly, zaboom, it's a tiger. So this shapeshifter is shape-shifting on the fly whenever it needs to. This comic's a recommend, by the way. I'm really enjoying the Union. You never know what's going to happen page to page, and all the characters are really enjoyable to read about, and just been a lot of fun. So Kelpie steps in, gives her a water blast to the tiger. The tiger turns into a dolphin. Snakes attacks the dolphin, and the dolphin turns into a huge gorilla that's bigger than Snakes. And what does Snakes do? Well, since he is Snakes, he turns into snakes at the horror of all the other friends and associates. And it freaks out the shapeshifter, who becomes this guy here. This is his normal look, I guess. So he is a villain. He is one of the new ones. So we've met Bulldog, we've met Doc Croc in the trailer, and now we've met this guy here, and I can't remember what they call him. So Selwyn kind of tricks him, says, take me as a hostage and take me into the car. I'll drive you away. And then I can't remember what his name was. He does have a name. But it turns out that Selwyn gives up his secret now that he used to be a villain. And he was called the Sponge, and what he could be kind of like Rogue, where he could take over the properties of that person or whatnot, and that's what he exactly does. He basically zaps the sponges the power off of the gentleman here, and then to the horror of everybody, he gets out a gun and shoots him, but makes it look like it's a suicide as Bulldog pulls back the roof. So I don't know what's going on with Selwyn James here, but he seems to be some kind of criminal. Maybe, I don't know if he's got the power of the shapeshifter now. So it's a lot of unforeseen questions. In the meantime, Doc Croc has captured the choir, and he's holding her hostage, and we don't know what's going on with this gentleman either, or what the deal is. So next issue, Doc Croc bites back. So I'm all in on the Union. Great. Here's what the next cover looks like, and that is the choir, and she's yelling, and they're doing her piercing scream and knocking all of the Union all over the place. So it's looking to be a good issue. just a real surprise because I just never had heard of this before. I don't know if the Union has been around before this, but I do recommend this. Thanks for stopping by and listening to my review. As always, please like, please subscribe if you haven't, please leave comments, and we'll see you next time at the Temple of Tomes. This is Indie Comics Jones bidding you adieu.